I am a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a leader, a teacher, a researcher, a businesswoman. I am the founder and executive director of AICC. AICC is African International Collaborative Center. It's a community-based organization established for the charitable purposes of empowering African immigrant families and youth for success and building a stronger and healthier African immigrant community. I came actually pregnant. And so, of course, then I have to be going for antenatal clinic, and then I have to be thinking about next step, but I was staying home a lot. Eventually, when I had, my child, now, back home, you have the kind of support. You have your mom will come and stay with the child, or you have some of your sisters come, your younger ones will come and help with the kid. But then here now, I have this child, and I'm wondering, okay, what's going on? Like, I'm alone. My husband, of course, has to go out. He goes out. I'm alone all day. This is my first child, and then later on, but then I just had to just keep pulling through, teaching myself. It was daunting. It was really hard. Sometimes, actually, my husband will come home and literally lock me in the room. He will come home and say, go to the room and sleep. And he will lock the door because he feels once I hear the baby crying, I will rush out, because I was trying to do everything by myself, from morning until he comes back home in the evening. And when the child is crying, I have no help. No, I have to take care of the baby. And then at the same time, we African women, I have to cook, I have to clean. And so by the time he comes, I'm probably looking like somebody who has lost it and might be moving home. And he'll be like, okay, go into the room and, and sleep. And he will lock the door. And after some couple of, hours, he will open the door so that I don't come out in case I hear the baby crying. And then he takes care of the baby. And then eventually, of course, and when the child was the age to get to kindergarten, I now have to look for a babysitter.
From the stables of the publishers Echoes Africa magazine comes your favorite TV show, Echoes from the Valley. African story like you've never seen it.
So many of these folks, they see Africa as just one country.
And the woman came to me and she goes, so what color is the flag? I said, what flag? She said, the flag of Africa. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, do I now educate this woman, or do I just tell her and move on?
Recorded in locations across Africa and diaspora, it is Africa from African perspective.
As governments, as individuals, we have got to tell our stories.
What is your African story? What is your origin and the history? What makes your culture and tradition unique? What are your milestones? Echoes from the Valley. For participation, please call the numbers on your screen. Echoes from the Valley, telling the African story.
As the child is growing up, I have to put the child to school. And I put him now, you take the child to school, you bring the child back for a while. Back home, you send the child to go to school at a very early age. They go to school by themselves and come, but you keep doing that for a while. And while the child was in school, of course, then I got a job, and then I was going to school. So I started working part-time, but then later on I was working full-time. And when I started working part-time, I started going to school. Now, when I got into working full-time, I was still going to school. And so I was working full-time, doing my master's, and then having children to take care of. And of course, then now when I go to work, then I go to school in the evening. Then I try to quickly get home to go and pick my child from either the babysitter or the school. And if I don't, sometimes my husband picks the child. And then as soon as I get home, I am in the kitchen cooking. So that by the time my husband gets home, there is food, for the kids, and there is food for my husband. And yeah, and it continued that way. Work, school, come home, cook, clean, that gender role strain. Because as an African woman, you still want to maintain that role. And that is some of the issues that we face these days. I mean, especially in America with, a woman who is striving, going to school, or even working, hard, is because, something has to give at some point.
From the producers of your favorite TV show, Echoes from the Valley, comes Created Unique, a conference on raising a child on the autism spectrum disorder.
I kind of always probably suspected from the time he was a baby. He was just slow to meet all of his milestones.
Anyone can have a child with autism spectrum disorder.
So at the beginning, we weren't really quite sure what to call it.
How informed are you about it?
An autistic child is like a person that is locked in a dark room, and from time to time they might open that window and they see light and they want to go, and then the windows get shut and they're in darkness.
Join Echoes Africa initiatives and stakeholders from across the globe as they gather to share information. Date: April 26th to the 29th, 2023. Venue: Baymont by Wyndham Hotels, Elmsford, New York, USA.
Register now. For sponsorship and partnership details, visit our website or call the numbers on your screen.
No child should be left behind. None.
Echoes Africa initiatives, bridging the gap.
When you're working hard and then you don't have time, to cook, like it is perceived that, we as African women, we need to now come and cook, then the friction now started, developing in the house. And then now, unfortunately, some husbands might understand that, okay, she has a lot of responsibilities. Maybe let me help out here and there and be more understanding and supportive. Some husband will see it as a challenge, or like, oh, now you're working, now you're making money, you don't have time to cook for me, you don't have time, to clean it's so now that friction, begin to set in.
Africa has a splendid beauty that has to be experienced.
Echoes from the Valley. African story like you've never seen.
We're able to tell our stories, who we are, what we are, and we're proud of those stories. And then we're able to also reach out to people who identify and appreciate our stories.
Echoes from the Valley, telling the African story.
So I was trying to fight that. I don't want my husband to see me as, oh, okay, all right, now I've gotten my master's, and eventually I went for my PhD. And even of course, now when I was doing my PhD, now it became even harder, right? Because after work, I now stay at work to do, of course, school stuff. And then I get home like 9, 10. Now I am lucky with the kind of husband I have. He was very understanding and he was very supportive. So sometimes at that 10 p.m. he comes to pick me up from work, and then, I get home. Sometimes I get home, still that 10, 11 I cook. Sometimes, forget it, I am beat. I can't, cook. But then some women won't have that, they might not be that lucky and may not have that kind of understanding, that coming from their husband. And what happened is, once you finish the PhD and now you have a better job and you're doing well, especially when you're making more money, any little space, whatever you don't do, it is related to, because, now you're making too much money. Oh, now you think you're making money, you have no respect, you can't even cook for me. But rather than, she's now working, it's different. She has this job, she's working hard, trying to help to support the family.
From the producers of your favorite TV show, Echoes from the Valley, comes Created Unique, a conference on raising a child on the autism spectrum disorder.
I kind of always probably suspected from the time he was a baby. He was just slow to meet all of his milestones.
Anyone can have a child with autism spectrum disorder.
So at the beginning, we weren't really quite sure what to call it.
How informed are you about it?
An autistic child is like a person that is locked in a dark room, and from time to time they might open that window and they see light and they want to go, and then the windows get shut and they're in darkness.
Join ECHOS Africa initiatives and stakeholders from across the globe as they gather to share information. Date: April 26th to the 29th, 2023. Venue: Baymont by Wyndham Hotels, Elmsford, New York, USA.
Register now. For sponsorship and partnership details, visit our website or call the numbers on your screen.
No child should be left behind. None.
ECHOS Africa initiatives, bridging the gap.
We're able to tell our stories, who we are, what we are, and we're proud of those stories. And then we're able to also reach out to people who identify and appreciate our stories.
Echoes from the Valley, telling the African story.
After especially I had my kid, and now was thinking of next steps because I cannot continue just sitting home 24/7. And so luckily, like, that opportunity came while to become a member of a community collaborative board. And so it had just happened that this my mentor now, Mary McKay, was the one who started the community collaborative board. She had a funding to implement a program in the community. It was actually a HIV prevention program. At that time, HIV was an issue, in the community. And so she was looking for community members. And of course I enrolled. I'm like, okay, let me at least be doing this, to get me out of the house and get me start thinking into the next trajectory. And luckily, she was a very good leader, and she was, she was very supportive in the sense that once that opportunity came, she helps you. She tries to find out, okay, what do you want to do in life, right? And she guides you into achieving that goal. So it is very important to be supported. Even from the Community Collaborative Board, there was the opportunity for a research assistant, and I applied and I got the job. And then I was working as her research assistant. And through that research assistant position, she actually encouraged me to pursue my master's, right? And so while working for her, I was, going for my master's program, and she was supportive throughout, the journey. And if there were resources that I needed that would help me, she would send the resources my way, and I get information on whatever I needed to help me, through that journey. Even when I eventually, because I worked, with her, for her, through my master's, through my PhD. So, and through this journey, through my master's, she has been there, and she has been very supportive along the way. In terms of providing resource, in terms of motivation, in terms of inspiration, she was there. And so she taught me, a lot about, the importance really of supporting one another, especially coming from woman to woman. And that is why even when I started the African International Collaborative Board, of course, that is why one of the mission or the objectives is to empower African women and youth for success. Because I wanted the skills I gained, and because I knew the importance of what that supportive network and role was in my life, I wanted to pass it on to others. And that is why amongst even whoever really I feel that has entered my space and have come close to me, I want to impact their lives one way or the other positively. I wouldn't want, that is my personal goal, right? Based on, the journey and how the importance I feel, supportive network, the importance it has, the impact of the support has had in my life. I wanted to have that kind of, impact in other people's lives. And that is why I cannot tell my story today, of course, without my husband, without Mayor McKay, because that support really pushed me to where I am today.
From the stables of the publishers Echoes Africa magazine comes your favorite TV show, Echoes from the Valley. African story like you've never seen it.
So many of these folks, they see Africa as just one country.
And the woman came to me and she goes, so what color is the flag? I said, what flag? She said, the flag of Africa. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, do I now educate this woman or do I just tell her and move on?
Recorded in locations across Africa and diaspora, it is Africa from African perspective.
As governments, as individuals, we have got to tell our stories.
What is your African story? What is your origin and history? What makes your culture and tradition unique? What are your milestones? Echoes from the Valley. For participation, please call the numbers on your screen. Echoes from the Valley, telling the African story.
I am also an adjunct assistant professor at the New York University Silver School of Social Work. Prior to that, I was Chief Program Officer at the New York University McSilver Institute for Poverty Policy and Research. Earlier on in my career, I have served as a research assistant and project coordinator at the Columbia University School of Social Work. Later on, I served as a senior research coordinator at the Mount Sinai School of Medicine. I also serve in leadership capacity on a number of ethnic-based associations and community-based organizations. I have also served as the women president of my prior local church. I am a public health professional with great passion for community health empowerment, especially empowering African immigrant women and youth, setting them up for success. All right, but we still have the rest of the folks. You're going to be there. You're going to be there. Yeah. No, you're going to be there. Yeah. I know Elvis will be there. Amanda will be there too. So we got Joshua, you're going to be there. Joshua is going to be there. So, so practically, I think the rest of them, when they get here, I believe they're going to be there, so I'm looking forward. So, I'm going to, share this T-shirt. And anytime we're going out for a food trip, of course, you need to wear the T-shirt, right? So that Brennan can easily identify when any of you decide to see something fascinating and go the other way.
From the stables of the publishers Echoes Africa magazine comes your favorite TV show, Echoes from the Valley. African story like you've never seen it.
So many of these folks, they see Africa as just one country.
And the woman came to me and she goes, so what color is the flag? I said, what flag? She said, the flag of Africa. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, do I now educate this woman or do I just tell her and move on?
Recorded in locations across Africa and diaspora, it is Africa from African perspective.
As governments, as individuals, we have got to tell our stories.
What is your African story? What is your origin and history? What makes your culture and tradition unique? What are your milestones? Echoes from the Valley. For participation, please call the numbers on your screen. Echoes from the Valley, telling the African story.
Here I am amongst those that are delivering this important, at that time it was programs around HIV and AIDS. It was other mentoring and empowering programs, leadership programs, but I do not see our people. So it started bugging me. I'm like, no, something has to be done. How can, I do something to make sure people like me, African immigrants, have access to all these existing resources and programs. And so while we moved to NYU, at NYU I was the chief program officer at that time. So I was not even involved in more, programs. And so while doing these efforts, I was at the same time looking for opportunity to, bring these programs and services and making sure that our community members have access to this program. Eventually, the opportunity came, and this was when, of course, sometimes when you're comfortable where you are, it's difficult to make that change you would want to make.
From the producers of your favorite TV show, Echoes from the Valley, comes Created Unique, a conference on raising a child on the autism spectrum disorder.
I kind of always probably suspected from the time he was a baby. He was just slow to meet all of his milestones.
Anyone can have a child with autism spectrum disorder.
At the beginning, we weren't really quite sure what to call it.
How informed are you about it?
An autistic child is like a person that is locked in a dark room, and from time to time they might open that window and they see light and they want to go, and then the windows get shut and they're in darkness.
Join Echoes Africa initiatives and stakeholders from across the globe as they gather to share information. Date: April 26th to the 29th, 2023. Venue: Baymont by Wyndham Hotels, Elmsford, New York, USA.
Register now. For sponsorship and partnership details, visit our website or call the numbers on your screen.
No child should be left behind. None.
Echoes Africa initiatives, bridging the gap.
And so when my boss, Mayor McKay, moved to St. Louis, I now, it was an opportunity. And while she moved, and then there was this change of staff at the McSkiver Institute, I now decided, okay, this is the window opportunity I have. And then I went to establish the African International Collaborative Center.
And the last one shows like a bunch of people who are like misplaced from their homes, and it shows that they're migrating or traveling to some other place, and they don't have like another place to stay yet, but they're just like
Right now we have several programs going on. We are involved in civic engagement. In other words, we go and inform, educate, our African community with regards to the voting information, the policy makers that are running for election, so that when they go out there, they can make an informed decision, and motivating them to go out and vote, and giving them that information of what is going on, so that when they go, they decide who they want to vote on based on informed decision. So we're conducting civic engagement activities right now. We're also conducting vaccine, education while we're going out, doing in-person engagement, providing information, doing community conversation, educating the community members and asking, trying to address any questions they have around the vaccines and COVID-19. We're also engaging in message dissemination, through social media, just so everybody can be informed, right? And getting information not just from anywhere, but from the right sources. In addition to that, we're also implementing a number of programs for youth, and we did a number of programs for, like I said, the support group sessions for African women, where we provide, space for those African healthcare workers, actually, not just women, but African healthcare workers, to help distress, especially during the COVID-19 crisis. So a space, a lot of nurses were crying, a lot of people lost a lot of loved ones. So it was, based on even the feedback we got, it was a huge relief for them to have a shared space where they are talking with fellow healthcare workers who are from the same culture and understand what they're going through, in the front line and at home when they come home, dealing with, the family, the husband, all the activities they have to do, at home. And apart from the support group sessions, we're also involved in youth programs. Currently, we're doing college and career exploration a program for teens that are about to go to college, so that they're able to so that they are ready, they get exposed, and it will help shape them and to help them better understand what career path they want to pursue. And and then currently we have the hands-on photography. So it is essentially to equip youth with the skills to help them really leave that social media a little bit, because we know kids now, they're always on the phone and all of that. So it's an avenue, like an after-school program, where they will come and learn certain skills. Now, when they learn these skills, they could either use it as a hobby, and just when you go out, you take pictures and take other pictures. You smell the roses, or you can even use it and you can make money, go to events and take pictures, something on the side. And so currently, we are engaged in that.
They chose this one of the mother, similar to the mother that you guys chose. This one of people waiting to use the phone bank to speak with relatives. And it's funny, whenever I do this exercise in different groups, no one ever chooses this one. That one was? Yeah. It's also an interesting photograph. It's got a good rhythm to it. I mean, if you want to break it down structurally. Look at all the cables over there. Even the babies in the corner. Oh yeah, I didn't even see that. Good eye. Yeah, look at what kind of emotion is that? That's amazing.
Growing up and seeing how she interacts with people, it also helped me with my interaction with people and my interaction in this world, because it just when I see my mother and how she handles things, it makes me want to do things better or do things in a better way, because I feel like that's always her thing. There's a better way to do something.
My ultimate goal really is to empower African immigrant families and to contribute in building a stronger and healthier African immigrant communities. The bottom line is I want to make sure that any person that comes, within my space, AICC or Dr. Hadiza or Suji's space, I need to find a way to impact their life positively, and especially, women and youth. As I go on this journey, AICC journey, I feel so excited, like you can see when I see this youth, and hopefully in the next 5 years, I want to see them in a more bigger and greater capacity. And it will bring me great joy to know that they passed through AICC, and AICC has helped them one way or the other to accomplish, or to get to, whatever goal or future they had designed or crafted for themselves. Right now, since I came to this country, I've been busy. I came, I went to school, did my master's, did my PhD, was working, and I was raising children at the same time. So I was here, there, running here and there, in church, right? So I'm an ordained deaconess as well. So balancing that, if I was not in school, I'm at work. If I'm not at work, I'm in church. If I'm not in church, it's been that crazy. So at this point, really, I just want to use all the skills that I've learned throughout my journey, the education that I have acquired, the experiences that I have, gotten as an African woman, living in America, as an immigrant living in, America. I just want to use all that skills and experiences and education and what have you to now impact, the lives of others, and at the same time try to smell the roses and take it easy and just try to smell the roses.